Tonight, several major stories on this Monday night. The final journey begins for the Queen. The remarkable images tonight. Breaking news in the war in Ukraine, the stunning turn in this counteroffensive, in some places pushing the Russian soldiers right back into Russia. And in the east, we're watching storms from D.C. up through New York City tonight. First, thousands lining the streets in Scotland, the Queen's coffin covered in the Scottish royal standard. King Charles, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward walking behind the Queen's casket. Well-wishers lining the route, watching in near silence. The Queen's children, led by the King, holding a vigil for their mother as members of the public filed past. Amy Robach reporting tonight from Scotland. The breaking news from the war in Ukraine, a major victory tonight for Ukrainian forces, driving the Russians out of a key area in the east around the city of Kharkiv, the second largest city. The Russians taken by surprise. Tonight, Russia responding what they're already seeing in Kharkiv, and the question now, how will Putin answer all of this with Ukraine's significant gains? Tom Sufi-Burridge from Kyiv. Back in this country tonight, those storms in the east this evening, 15 million on alert across the country for flash flooding tonight. In the east, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., the northeast next. Already sweeping through the Chicago area, geysers in the streets. And in the west tonight, tropical rain falling in drought-ravaged Southern California. The ground so dry, the water turning immediately to flash floods and mudslides, trapping drivers. Kate Whitworth in California, Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z, timing out the storms ahead tonight. Breaking news tonight involving the January 6th investigation and some officials in the Trump administration. The Justice Department has issued more than 36 subpoenas in a week, expanding its own January 6th investigation. Pierre Thomas standing by live with what he's learned tonight. The horrific story here in New York City. The discovery on a beach in Coney Island. 3 young children found unconscious, all later pronounced dead. Tonight, police investigating whether they were drowned. Their mother is being questioned. Stephanie Ramos with late reporting. Also tonight, the space rocket veering off course. You'll see it. The E. coli alert tonight. And major news for anyone with an iPhone.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We are back in New York tonight after London and Ukraine, and we have a lot to get to tonight. The storms in the east on tap this evening. Also major news from Ukraine, pushing the Russians back in a key region in Ukraine. But we're going to begin tonight with the Queen's final journey, her last hours in her beloved Scotland. Her coffin making its way through the streets of Edinburgh today to the cathedral, where at this hour a stream of visitors believed to be a mile long now paying their respects throughout the night there. A day of solemn ritual, the Queen's flag-draped coffin carried away from the official royal residence in the Scottish capital. Walking behind her 4 children, her successor, of course, King Charles III, and his siblings, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. The procession winding its way through the streets of Edinburgh, the journey less than a mile. Thousands of people you can see right there lining the route, parents with their children. The crowd virtually silent today. The procession arriving at the cathedral, the coffin lifted up, carried in for a solemn prayer service. After the Queen's children holding vigil, Princess Anne on the left there, the Queen's children on each side of her casket, including the new King, standing there in front. And then tonight, that stream of mourners filing through now, paying their respects slowly. ABC's Amy Robach leading us off tonight in Scotland.
Tonight, Scotland bidding a final farewell to its Queen. King Charles III, for the first time, accompanying his mother's casket in a solemn military procession from the Palace of Holyrood House, along with his siblings, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. The Royal Mile of Edinburgh, lined with mourners, some more than a dozen deep. In absolute silence, as the cortege passed. The procession winding towards St. Giles Cathedral for a celebration of thanksgiving for the Queen. The Queen herself choosing many of the details. The Queen's casket draped with the Royal Standard of Scotland and a wreath of flowers, most from her beloved Balmoral, including sweet peas, her favorite, often associated with saying goodbye. The Crown of Scotland placed on the Queen's coffin, a crown she received here at St. Giles in 1953. Many of the Queen's happiest times were here in Scotland, spending summers in Balmoral with her young family. Now some saying it's as if she chose to spend her final days here.
And so we gather to bid Scotland's farewell to our late monarch, whose life of service to the nation and the world we celebrate, and whose love for Scotland was legendary.
Mourners singing Psalm 23, a nod to Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. That psalm also sung at their wedding in 1947. Their 73-year marriage just as remarkable as her 70-year reign. King Charles standing before his mother's coffin as the mourners sing, God Save the King. While in grief, the king also performing his official duties as sovereign, visiting Scottish lawmakers donning a traditional kilt.
Your Majesty, we stand ready to support you as you continue your own life of service.
This morning in London, King Charles giving his first speech to British Parliament.
As I stand before you today, I cannot help but feel the weight of history.
Honoring his late mother.
She set an example of selfless duty, which, with God's help and your counsels, I am resolved faithfully to follow.
Tonight, the Queen's children holding vigil inside that cathedral, grieving not just the loss of a monarch, but a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother. As thousands of mourners from all over Scotland pay their last respects to their Queen, who so loved this land.
And so let's bring in Amy Robach tonight. She's outside St. Giles Cathedral. And Amy, you and I were on the air together earlier today. The well-wishers lining the route, 15 to 20 people deep, in complete silence as the hearse drove past. And you and I couldn't help but to take note that if the Queen had not died in Scotland, this part of the journey, at least this part, would not have even happened.
That's so true, David. We all know that Queen Elizabeth II loved her Balmoral estate, and so there was a contingency plan in place called Operation Unicorn. If she died here in Scotland, of course, that is what happened. And we've been able to witness over the past 24 hours the outpouring of love from the people of Scotland here to pay their final respects to the Queen they so loved. In fact, behind me, we have thousands of people who've been lining up. We're told this line is a mile long to pass by her casket here at St. Giles Cathedral to say their final farewell. David?
Amy Robach leading us off tonight from Scotland. Amy, our thanks to you again tonight. We turn now to the other major news this Monday evening into the war in Ukraine. Tonight, a major victory for the Ukrainians in what could be a turning point in this war. Ukrainian forces claiming to have retaken more than 40 towns in just a matter of days. And tonight, we've learned that in some cases, they have pushed Russian soldiers right back into Russia. Reports those Russian troops fleeing in disarray, some surrendering in some places, leaving heavy equipment behind in the east near Kharkiv, the second largest city. And the images tonight, look at this, people greeting Ukrainian soldiers with hugs. Tonight, of course, major questions, among them, how will Putin respond, with Russia tonight already taking steps to inflict damage in Kharkiv when it comes to water and power now. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge from Ukraine tonight.
Tonight, a stunning breakthrough for Ukraine. Its troops on the attack in this dramatic new video. Surging forward, claiming to ambush a Russian vehicle. Ukraine's lightning advance in the east, routing Russian forces, which retreated in a hurry. Tonight, a senior US defense official saying Russia has largely ceded their gains to the Ukrainians near Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, with many Russian soldiers crossing back into Russia. In the process, abandoning vast amounts of weaponry and entire stocks of ammunition. Ukraine's huge gains, seen here in yellow, claiming to take back more than 2,300 square miles, larger than the size of Delaware. David, pressing President Zelensky about the scope of Ukraine's counteroffensive and whether this could be a turning point. Zelensky saying there must remain an element of surprise.
The counteroffensive that we're witnessing in Kherson right now is not the only counteroffensive underway in this country.
I can't discuss details of any military actions. I think that information silence is important. So I want that the enemy gets some surprises from us.
And tonight, that surprise paying off. Ukrainian flags flying again over key strategic cities. Emotional scenes. Ukrainian troops greeted as liberators in videos circulating online. This man saying the Russians were here in the morning, then suddenly started shouting and ran away. And with the Russians gone, bodies are being dug up. Ukrainian officials saying there are 1,000 new war crimes investigations now underway in just one newly liberated city. Tonight, even the Kremlin acknowledging its retreat and retaliating. Russian missiles destroying a power station in Kharkiv, knocking out power to thousands, trapping people in subways. President Zelensky tonight calling it terror and a sign of Russia's desperation. But the situation for Moscow could get worse.
Are we going to see more gains by the Ukrainians in the coming days?
Definitely. There's going to be advances down in the southeast, and I think that a lot more towns and cities will be liberated.
Tom's interview there with a member of Ukrainian parliament today. Tom Sufi-Burge with us from Kyiv again tonight. And Tom, the larger question obviously looming, I mentioned there at the beginning, how will Russia respond to these Ukrainian victories in this ongoing counteroffensive against the Russians? I'm curious what the Pentagon's saying tonight about Putin's potential response here, if there's going to be a larger response of any kind.
Yeah, David, a senior U.S. military official saying Russia has conducted increased airstrikes over the weekend, targeting civilian infrastructure, causing widespread blackouts. Right now, the Russian military is on the back foot. Putin's in a weakened position. U.S. officials clearly watching closely how he will respond. David?
Appears to be a significant turn. We'll see if it lasts. Tom Sufi-Burge tonight. Tom, our thanks to you. Back here at home tonight, and we are tracking storms in the east at this hour from Washington, D.C., then right up the coast through New York City. 15 million Americans on flood alerts tonight from the east all the way to the west. And look at this. In California tonight, the remnants of Tropical Storm K causing flash flooding and mudslides. More than 20 cars trapped in L.A. County. Bulldozers brought in to clear the roads, and this system now taking aim in the east tonight, already hitting Chicago. Parts of it getting the worst flooding there in 2 years, turning the storm drain right there into a geyser. Ginger Z standing by, tracking these storms into the tonight. First, ABC's Kana Whitworth with the floods and mudslides in L.A. County now.
Tonight, Southern California cleaning up as millions in the west brace for potential flooding.
Look at that.
Overnight in Los Angeles County, some 50 people rescued in the Lake Hughes area after heavy rain triggered flash flooding and a mud flow surrounding vehicles.
There's just trees and there's just a bunch of water just falling. We're just a little terrified. I mean, we ain't never experienced a mudslide.
And in San Bernardino, police rescuing 3 people when they got trapped in fast-moving waters Sunday. The storms, remnants of Tropical Storm K, bringing weather whiplash after wildfires and months of extreme drought. As our climate warms, experts say both extremes are likely to become more common. In the Midwest, a separate system sweeping through the Chicago area Sunday. Geysers in the streets, trees crashing into homes. That system now sweeping into the mid-Atlantic and Northeast.
And David, here officials calling it a perfect storm. Those overly dry hillsides met with tropical moisture, fueling torrential downpour, and this is the result. And it's not over yet. Surrounding counties bracing for yet another night of potential flooding. David?
All right, Kana Whitworth in California. Thank you, Kana. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z. She's tracking it all here in the east tonight as well. Hey, Ginger.
Hey there, from York, Pennsylvania, David, down through Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland included. We've got flood watches until midnight. Some places will see those heavy storms moving through, even through 5 p.m. tomorrow into New England. Places like Vermont you can see there. But let's turn our attention west, because it's not just California. Kingman, Arizona, reporting 4 to 5 inch per hour rainfall rates. So we're seeing flood watches, but also just a smattering of the air quality alerts. Great Falls, Montana, for example, has had their worst air quality in 5 years. Many folks back to Reno just suffocated by all those fires. More than 100 uncontained large wildfires burning now. David?
Yeah, the air quality across several states. Ginger Z with us. Thank you, Ginger. We're going to turn out to breaking news out of Washington at this hour. A major development tonight in the federal investigation into the January 6th riot. Tonight, sources now telling ABC News that in just the past week, the Justice Department has now issued about 40 subpoenas, and some of them to close advisors to former President Trump, including top White House aides. Let's get right to our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, tonight. Pierre, this is a clear sign, obviously, that this investigation is accelerating.
David, tonight in a sign that DOJ's investigation of the January 6th insurrection is escalating, word of about 40 new subpoenas issued to some of President Trump's closest associates. Among those subpoenas are close advisors to Trump, former White House officials, and staffers from his 2020 presidential campaign, ranging from lower-level staffers to those at the highest levels of the campaign. Sources telling ABC News the focus of the subpoenas appears to be the alleged scheme to have fake or alternate electors come to Washington to delay the certification of Joe Biden as president. And investigators are now asking questions about Trump's fundraising efforts built on the lie that he won the election, David.
Pierre Thomas with the breaking news from Washington. Pierre, thank you. We're going to turn now to the tragic news here in New York City tonight. Investigators believe 3 small children were drowned on Coney Island Beach, the youngest just 3 months old. Their mother found 2 miles away, wet, barefoot. Authorities say she was not communicating. She's now being questioned by police tonight, and here's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, authorities in New York City are investigating whether a woman drowned her 3 young children off a Coney Island beach. Police discovering the 7-year-old boy, 4-year-old girl, and a 3.5-month-old baby boy unconscious by the water's edge around 4:42 a.m. today.
They were rushed to Coney Island Hospital, where they were regrettably pronounced deceased.
The grim discovery happening near Coney Island's boardwalk, but blocks away from the iconic amusements that draw tourists and New Yorkers. Police say around 1:40 a.m., they responded to a call from a relative concerned that the 30-year-old mother may have harmed her children. Officers locating the woman 90 minutes later, but not her 3 children.
She was wet, she was barefoot, and she was not communicative to the officers.
Authorities then searching with boats and drones, eventually finding the children 2 miles from where their mother was found.
David, tonight that woman is being evaluated at a hospital. Sources tell us that detectives are looking into whether a mental health disorder related to childbirth may have played a role. David.
Just an awful story. Stephanie Ramos tonight. Stephanie, thank you. Tonight, on the 60th anniversary of President Kennedy's famous moonshot speech, President Biden laying out a plan for a new American moonshot, as he calls it, to eradicate cancer as we know it. The president at the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library in Boston today saying one of the reasons he ran for president was to rally Americans to work together in this fight.
Because we know this, cancer does not discriminate red and blue. It doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Beating cancer is something we can do together, and that's why I'm here today.
The president, of course, losing his own son, Beau, to cancer. When we come back on a Monday night, the space rocket suddenly veering off course today, the malfunction at the Blue Origin launch, and you'll see it here. And the headline tonight for anyone with an iPhone in a moment. Next tonight, the remarkable sight today, a space rocket veering off course and a major setback for Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket company. Suffering its first launch failure, the mission carrying science experiments, no crew. The rocket veering off course about a minute into flight. The launch abort system kicking in, pulling the capsule off the rocket there. That capsule then parachuting to Earth minutes later. When we come back tonight, news tonight that affects most everyone with an iPhone. Details in a moment. To the index into an E. coli alert tonight, the USDA with an alert for certain Hello Fresh meals shipped back in July for possible E. coli contamination. 10-ounce ground beef packages bearing the code EST 46841 should be thrown away. The company says a very small number of packages are affected. We have more on our website for you. Tonight, Apple has released its major annual software update today, iOS 16, with advances for your lock screen, other new features, the ability to edit messages after you've sent them, to undo send. You can also schedule emails to send later, security upgrades as well. When we come back tonight, what little Prince Louis told his mother, Princess Kate, about his great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth. See the moment.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for more than 150 years.
Finally, Princess Kate sharing a very dear moment with her son, Prince Louis. It was the personal moment revealed among those who had gathered at Windsor Castle. Princess Kate, Princess of Wales, greeting mourners outside. Surrounded by families and a group of children, Kate sharing the words from her youngest child, 4-year-old Prince Louis, what he said to her to comfort her about his great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth.
I love you, it's just so sweet.
Prince Louis telling his mother not to worry, that his great-grandmother is now with his great-grandfather, Prince Philip, the Queen's husband of 73 years. Prince Louis comforting his mother and those who had gathered at Windsor. Prince Louis and his sweet words. I hope to see you right back here tomorrow.